From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. On this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast, we discuss some details about the Trump administration's plan to help right what is wrong in the world in their eyes. They have talked about the prosperity of the coastlines and the suffering of middle America. And the way that they plan to fix this is by pulling three different levers. We are on the second lever, which has to do with tariffs. Currently, as this podcast is being recorded and sent out to our listening audience on live radio, it is the 12th of April, 2025. And while the world may have changed significantly between now and the time you've heard this, at this present time, we are in a trade war, and China is not giving in. This is causing some turmoil in the markets and a lot of fear in retirees. This uncertainty is likely to be short-lived, with the markets finding their footing and potentially having a V-shaped recovery, at least in the point of view of our firm. But what do you need to be doing specifically in these times if you are seeing your 401k suffer? We go into those three steps in detail, especially as you are approaching retirement phase. I hope you enjoy this episode. And if you do enjoy the podcast, please be sure that you like, subscribe, and review the episodes, giving us an honest review on what you think about the show. The more people we can get to review, the more we can reach. And we believe that that gives them a better footing for their own retirement they have been planning. So again, without further ado, let's jump to this week's episode titled, What to Expect with Donald Trump's Economic Plan. Enjoy the show. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well and you're ready to start discussing all things retirement matters. This week, we have seen a crazy market sell-off starting the week, a lot of volatility throughout the week, and there's just a lot of fear in the markets right now. So let's get into what is going on in the world. Why are we seeing such crazy volatility in our markets as a result of tariffs? Why are tariffs even a thing? And is there a method to the madness, or is it just a madman in the White House? Let's unpack a little bit of that as we go into today's show. And specifically for those who are over the age of 60 years old, maybe you're still working or you're approaching retirement. You've been thinking about it. You got it on your mind. You're seeing your 401ks, your IRAs start to go the wrong direction. I'm going to give you three very specific steps that you need to be following in your retirement account as you see the decline right now. Now, before we go any deeper into the show, I do want to announce again the April 28th Social Security and Retirement Readiness class that we will be holding in the Taylor County Public Library from 6 to 7:30, April 28th, 6 to 7:30. There will be a lot of good information shared in this class pertaining to what we are seeing in the markets right now, how you should be navigating those. We're going to go into some real deep details about what you should be planning for in retirement and how you make a retirement successful, and ways that you can detach the success of that retirement that you've always imagined from the success of the stock market. Meaning the stock market doesn't have to always have good years for your retirement to be everything you've imagined. We have many retirees right now that we work with who are in income phase. We are sending them income every single month, and we've not had to touch a single stock at a loss for that client. And the reason is we plan for this type of volatility in the market. Whether the market is up or down, your retirement can be on the right track. And we want to show you how. Again, April 28th, 6 to 7:30, Taylor County Public Library. To get a seat, call our office at 270-600-PLAN or contact us at contact@rdswealth.com. Again, that's contact@rdswealth.com or 270-600-PLAN. Secure a seat for you and your loved ones and get the information you need to make your retirement everything you've always imagined. We can't wait to see you there. Let's jump to today's Pause for Positivity, which is going to come to us from a gentleman named Mark Twain. It's a famous quote that he is quoted to have said. It makes you think about what you think you know, and it's really interesting in terms of perspective. You know, there's a lot of negative news in the market right now, a lot of negative news in the world right now, and it seems as if the world has become so polarized that you either have to be in one camp or the other. There is no real middle ground, and it's sad. It's a buildup of many years of biases. In the world of finance, we have something called a recency bias and a confirmation bias. The recency bias is that we believe something to be true because it happened recently the same way and the same outcome was the result. Now, granted, this might actually be a little bit of wisdom, but it becomes a bias to think that everything is going to play out the same way just because it looks like something that recently happened to us. We believe in recency bias. We may believe that we could never see ourselves ever being hungry again because we just got done eating. That's a recency bias. You know, when you've just gotten done with a very good meal, you lean back. You can't imagine, for the life of you, you can't imagine what that feeling of hunger actually is. Recency bias. Confirmation bias is where you go looking for what we may consider research to confirm your biases, not to debunk your bias. And I think it's wise for us to always look for the other side of an argument. Always look for the other side. And then with that information, bring it in, be the intelligent person that you are, roll it around for a little bit, and then still you can discard every bit of that and still believe what you believe, but without scrutinizing your belief. And I'm not talking about belief in the gospel here. Granted, there's one absolute truth, and that is that Jesus Christ bled and died on the cross for our sins. He rose from the grave. He ascended to heaven, and he's coming back again. I believe every bit of that to be gospel. But when we talk about worldviews and opinions, it's wise for us to look at the other side before standing strong in our opinion, and even then to continue taking in new data, and with this new data, changing opinions. It's not against the rules to change an opinion. It actually is a sign of wisdom. And Mark Twain sums this up with a statement. Now, forgive me for the bad English here, but he says, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." And I believe that the world needs a little bit of this. So if you and I can embody this and think through this together over the course of the next week, we will likely see things differently from a different perspective. And little by little, we change the world. With new perspectives, we know what the next step needs to be. Again, it ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. I heard a piece of trivia a couple days ago that asked me a question about Rosa Parks. It said, what year did Rosa Parks pass away? Well, I know Rosa Parks. I know who she is. I know how amazing of a woman she was, the movement she led, and granted, the larger-than-life character that she certainly was. But never in my wildest imagination would I have guessed 2005. Rosa Parks passed away in 2005. This is just a small little illustration to show that what we believe we think we know, we may not actually know. So it's good to constantly be examining for something to discredit that thing. As we make decisions, we have to make decisions on what we know at the moment. But we have to know that we don't know it all. And again, here's Mark Twain's famous quote. It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to reset. We're coming back with a little bit of an understanding of what's going on in the Trump administration, what their goals are with these tariffs. And again, I'm not here to debate the politics of it all. I just want to make sure that you are in the know. And we are going to give you this information right after this break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters in 60 seconds.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, serving the residents of Kentucky and Tennessee. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. We are happy that you're listening in and hope you find value in this week's episode. If you'd like to listen to past episodes and find exclusive content and full-length interviews, search for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or visit us online at rdswealth.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. That website again is rdswealth.com. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into what the plan for all of this is. The notion that we are just waging a trade war against the world with no real strategy. I don't buy that. I'm definitely not here to campaign for the Trump administration. I think it could have been rolled out differently. I think there were strategies that probably could have been used, but either way, we are in it now, and it was a shock and awe type approach. We laid out what our tariffs were going to be. We gave a specific time that they would start. And one by one, within just a few days, we had countries coming to our president saying, we want to negotiate. Over 70 countries by Tuesday had stood in line saying, we want to negotiate our trade deal with you. This is likely going to be a realignment of world trade like we have not seen since World War II. But there is one particular holdout that is a big, big holdout for us, and that is China. China is one of our biggest trade partners. We have one of the largest deficits with China, yet China is not coming to the table to renegotiate. And the bottom line is they need us more than we need them at the moment, at least in terms of trade. And the reason for that is because we are 5-1 a deficit country. What that means is that we will buy 5 times more stuff from them than they buy from us. So they need us to continue to come back to them, or else their country may be in bad shape. Now, we will also suffer. If we cut off trade with China, we would suffer in many different areas, probably even some that were not intentional. But we have different trade partners that we could turn to fill that void, and we would fill that void a lot quicker than someone like, say, China, who is really dependent upon American consumers buying their goods. So I do fully expect there to be some capitulation in some form or fashion, probably from both sides. I think that we see a meeting at the table and renegotiate something that's a little bit more fair for America. We did this back in 2017, and China agreed to buy a lot of our stuff, but COVID happened. And when COVID happened, none of that actually came to fruition. It was almost an exit ramp for China, and they never upheld their end of the bargain. Now, again, I think that things could have been probably handled a little differently. The constitutionality of tariffs being delivered from the president is not something I want to debate, especially on radio, debate it amongst friends perhaps. But here's what I know. I know that there is, in Donald Trump's mind at least, a method to this madness, and I want to keep you in the know. Because if you aren't aware, and whether you agree with it or not, I'm not here to even try to ask you to agree with it. I'm not sure that I fully agree with every little aspect of the plan, but I do know that there needs to be something done about globalization. And I'm going to explain to you why I think that is the case. And I want you to think of this almost as twists and turns in a 3-part movie. And I'm about to give you some spoiler alerts so that you're already aware of what is intended to happen. Whether or not it happens, well, we deal with human beings, we deal with the world, and every one of us are subject to make mistakes. So we'll just leave it at that. I do think that there is some method to this, and without knowing what is going on, you may consider it a bunch of noise, and it may be something that drives you crazy. It's kind of like whenever my sons are watching a movie, if I'm not also a part of that movie, well, when the loud part happens or the big bang takes place on the screen, I immediately want to say, turn it down. It's messing with what I've got going on. But for them, they're in the movie. And when we are watching the movie with them, well, we don't mind the noise. So let me get you a part of what's going on, maybe a little bit more insight on what's going on in this movie that we find ourselves watching from the White House. Donald Trump sees the world as going one of two ways, either being globalized, where we are all intertwined, or nationalized, where America is first. America is the greatest, and America is self-sufficient. You have to paint that framework from the beginning to understand where we're coming from with this type of action. Globalization has caused middle America, heartland of America, to really suffer. A lot of places have been outsourced. I know of multiple factories, even in my listening audience here in southern Kentucky, northern Tennessee, that have been outsourced to other countries due to globalization. The middle of America, the heartland of America, has suffered, and the coastlines have prospered. Donald Trump's administration seeks to bring prosperity back to middle America, to the middle class and the middle class worker. As a country, according to the Congressional Budget Office, we are set to spend this year $7 trillion with a T. And because it's really difficult for us to wrap our head around trillions of dollars, I want to put it into perspective using time. 1 million with an M, 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. 1 trillion seconds with a T is 31,688 years. That's a tremendous amount of money. We are spending $7 trillion this year. Now, that's not altogether bad. We need those spending dollars, and thank God we have it as a country. But we're spending that having only brought in as a country in revenue $5 trillion. According to the Congressional Budget Office, we will run a $2 trillion deficit in 2025. That will be added to a $36 trillion debt that we owe. And that debt alone, the interest payments on that debt, add to a lot of the $7 trillion that we have to spend this year. Donald Trump's objective, again, I'm just giving you what his plan is, and this has been laid out by his Treasury Secretary. His objective is to pull 3 different levers. The first one, attacks spending. The spending lever is meant to reduce government spending by eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. DOGE. The Department of Government Efficiency was created, and the number one goal is to bring down spending by at least $1 trillion. Now, the second lever in the Trump administration's plan is to increase revenue. We are going to see tariffs, which we're here now seeing those. We're going to see deregulation. We're going to see things like the gold card, which is a very expensive pathway to citizenship for those who are wealthy. And the projection is that we will be able to bring in around $1 trillion of additional revenue just by these things alone. That's where we find ourselves today. And that is truly where the weakness in this plan lies. Can we truly bring in $1 trillion worth of revenue without the U.S. economy going into total freefall? That is yet to be seen. But that's what's taking place right now. Because the third lever benefits all of us. This third lever of tax cuts is the big one. It brings us bigger paychecks. It brings more companies to this country. That third lever is to not only extend the tax cuts and make them permanent, but to expand the tax cuts saying that there will be not a single dime of tax paid on the first $150,000 that you earn in income. This means that you bring home a much larger paycheck and cutting the corporate tax from 21% to 15%, which means more companies come to America. This is the plan that they are trying to work through right now. And we're about midway through the second lever. But I can tell you, when I hear the third lever, it makes me excited. That third lever of no taxes on any money under $150,000 means that our economy will boom if and when we ever get to that lever. We have to suffer through some of this pain. And I get it. The 401k is currently under attack. The IRA is currently under attack. Thankfully, here at RDS Wealth, we have positioned our clients to weather this storm. And if you're a client of our firm, you have a lot of money in place right now that is just waiting this out, generating the income you need without having to sell securities at a loss. We aren't selling these stocks in these lows. And I would urge you to do the same. If you're not a client of our firm, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN. We'd love to help you. Or attend this class that we've got coming up, because I do believe we're going to give you a lot of good information. If you're afraid of the stock market right now and over the age of 60, if you've saved some money for retirement, you're starting to see it dwindle away, this class is for you. April the 28th from 6 to 7:30. Give our team a call, 270-600-PLAN, RSVP. That is at the Taylor County Public Library. We would love to see you there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to give you these 3 steps that you need to be taking in your own retirement account to make sure you stay on track in these volatile times. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
Welcome back to the show. In my last segment, I tried to unpack what we expect to see happen in the Trump plan. Now, whether or not it gets done, whether or not it's done the right way, and whether or not it was the right action, that is something that could certainly be debated. But the bottom line is this globalization does need to be addressed, and it is getting addressed right now in front of us. And with that, the market is repricing a lot of stocks. A lot of stocks that were high just a few weeks ago are now at some serious lows. A lot of stocks that were on the way up in January are now on the way the opposite direction in April. And what do you do about that? Well, the last thing you want to do is panic. There are 3 very specific things that you must do in this time. And number 1 is to understand your income target. If you are over the age of 60, you need to be looking at your plan. How much income do you need in retirement? Get that target painted and get it painted quickly. If you do not know what that is, give our team a call, 270-600-PLAN. We can help you paint that target and understand what your income gap would be. Understand your income target very, very, very clearly, even at the age of 60. It's time to start mapping that out. If you're within 5 years from retirement, now's the time. Understand how much income you need in retirement. Number 2 is to rebalance according to your risk tolerance. Rebalance your portfolio. You need to be selling things that have not fallen nearly as much and purchasing things that have fallen in the market. Many of you have a 401k or a 403b. You may have stable market funds. Stable funds, bond funds have likely performed okay through all of this. We work with some people who aren't able to quite move their 401k just yet. We were on a call just a couple of days ago. I was on a call with a client a couple of days ago. His 401k has actually went up because of some of the moves that we have made. We've seen that with many clients through this mess, still seeing appreciation in certain areas of their portfolio. Man, that's a wonderful story to tell, but now's the time to put that money to work. rebalance according to your risk tolerance. If you do not want to take a single ounce of risk, then leave it where it's at. But if you are ever going to take risk, now may be the time. Buying into these lows with things that have went on sale is a wise decision. Number 3. So number 2 is rebalance. And number 3 is to make sure that you are reviewing your tax plan. Now, Dale, I don't have a tax plan. What are you even talking about? We are all in a partnership with the IRS. And that partnership is one that allows them to tell us how much of our money is theirs when we pull it out. If you know where you are in the tax code right now, and you know how much income you're going to need in the future for maintaining your lifestyle, you may have a golden opportunity to move money over to a tax me never again bucket, and all of the money that's in that bucket plus appreciations of those monies are all yours tax-free. This allows you to maximize your income that you will be receiving in retirement, potentially lowering taxes on Social Security, lowering taxes on the income that you generate. And it works like this. If you have a share of a company, let's say that it was at $100 a share just a few weeks ago, and now it's at $50 a share, you can elect to pay taxes on that stock right now and move it to a Roth IRA, where you then get all of the appreciation from $50 a share and up, income tax free. You have a $50 a share stock that you pay tax on today. So instead of paying, let's say, $25 for tax on that share, you may pay $15. And then when it becomes another $100 or $200 per share stock, it's all yours and it's all income tax free. This Roth conversion strategy is something you should be exploring. So number 1, know your income target. Be aware of how much income you need as you approach retirement. If you're 20 years from retirement, this step doesn't apply to you. If you're 20 years from retirement, step number 2 is very critical. But if you're 5 years or less from retirement, step number 1 is step number 1 for a reason. Know your income target. Number 2, understand your risk tolerance and rebalance your portfolio to your risk tolerance. And number 3, consider Roth conversions. We can help you with all 3 of those steps. We can help you apply those specific steps to your unique situation. You can attend the class on the 28th from 6 to 7:30 at the public library here in Taylor County, or you can give our team a call for a one-on-one sit down at any time, and we can help you keep your retirement on track, even in this crazy time we're seeing today. We've been here before. We've been in places like this before. We don't have to go very far back to see crazy sell-offs like this. And I'll tell you, I was going to go to a break, but we're right here at the end of the show, so I'll just talk to you for a minute. And friend to friend, just me and you here, I want you to know that we are constantly in contact with our clients. We're sending out videos, we're sending out emails, we're sending out phone calls. Depending on the situation, depending on the client's portfolio, we may even have them in office just to talk about the specifics of what's going on in this world that we find ourselves in. And we specialize in the retirement income phase. That is where we specialize. For those who are close enough to retirement that losses hurt you more than gains help you, it's important that you have communication with your advisor. And if you've not had some sort of correspondence with or from your advisor through this, ask yourself why. Ask yourself if your advisor is proactive or reactive. Because if you're close to retirement, you need a proactive advisor. You do not need a reactive broker. You do not need someone who simply tells you what stocks to buy or sell. They need to be navigating all the complexities of these uncharted waters we find ourselves in. And yes, the stock market has a lot to do with how you get through growth phase of retirement, but the stock market should have very little to do with how successful your retirement actually is once you've entered income phase. We can show you how to live a happy retirement in good times and in bad. This is where we specialize. If you are concerned about the stock market and you're close to retirement, I would urge you to give our team a call right now, 270-600-PLAN, and set up a time to talk to our team where we will begin working together to alleviate those fears turning those instead into hopes and dreams and step-by-step instructions on how to get to the retirement you've always imagined. And just like that, we have flown through this episode of the Retirement Matters show. I enjoy talking to you each and every week. You know, it may seem as if all advisors are created equal, but there are specialists, and the specialists in income phase is what you should be seeking if you are working with money meant to make your retirement successful and you're over the age of 60. It may seem as if you could just work with any advisor and you would be okay, but the last thing you want to do is work with a growth advisor while you are in income phase. There are different pieces of advice. It's like having advice on how to take off in an airplane versus having advice on how to land an airplane. Two different sets of advice, different skill sets, and a lot more finite details that have to be worked out and inputs into the control board when landing the airplane. I hope you're getting my analogy here. If you're close to retirement, you are on final, approaching your landing, and we want to help you land successfully. If that's you, give our team a call, 270-600-PLAN. And until we talk again, whether it's in person or right here on this same station, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and RD Smothers Wealth Management are not affiliated companies. Investing involves a risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. RD Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RD Smothers Wealth Management.